At the age of 5, my biological parents abandoned me. When my birth mother found me again, I was a top lawyer at a prestigious law firm. Daughter, I've finally found you. Abandonment is a crime. I could take you to court right now. At the age of 5, my mother became pregnant. Someone predicted that this pregnancy would be a boy. My father called me over and said to me in the gentlest tone, Daughter, I'll take you to buy some candy. Back then, in my innocence, I believed that as long as my father had a little brother, they would be happy. Father took me over the long mountain ridge, and the cold wind made my eyes water. I didn't understand why the path to buy candy was so far. I don't know how long we walked. Father told me, Stay here, I'll be back soon. I waited and waited. The sun was about to set, and I felt an unprecedented fear. The howls of wild dogs on the hilltop, mingled with the whistling wind, enveloped me in waves. I ran back desperately. But I had long forgotten the way I came. I saw a shadow moving in the distance, and I thought it must be the wild dogs catching up to me. I burst into tears with a loud wail. The shadow slowly approached. It was a woman. She stared at me with a vacant gaze and pulled a handful of fruits from her pocket, offering them to me. Torn between fear and hunger, I hesitated to take them. She shoved it into my hand and dragged me along as I stumbled. Back at home, a man was smoking a pipe, eyeing the two of us coldly. The woman was acting crazy. I was a complete mess, and the two of us standing together looked both pitiful and ridiculous. Where did you get this kid from? The woman pointed to the mountain over there, and the man had no choice but to relent. At least give him a bite to eat first, so he doesn't starve to death. And so, I was taken in by my parents. The villagers gradually began to gossip. James has a foolish wife at home. And now they've picked up some girl child too. That family must have done something wicked in a past life. That couple is still young. Wouldn't it be better for them to have their own child later? James' wife is so simple-minded. How dare they have children? Any baby born would probably be an idiot too. TCH. James is the calculating one. Just feed the girl now, and when she grows up they'll recoup their costs with the bride price. The man told me to call them father and mother. Father said that in case I was just lost and my birth parents came looking, hearing me call them father and mother wouldn't be too awkward. We waited over a month, but no one came searching. At that moment, I clearly realized I had been abandoned by my birth parents. I thought if I just stayed obedient and sensible without causing them any trouble, they might love me a little more, but I was wrong. Father spoke very little, busy every day. Sometimes for days I couldn't even exchange a word with him. In spring, he would go to plow fields for others, carrying the harness alone, driving the plowshare deep into the thick soil, turning the earth into neat furrows. I watch him like an indefatigable old ox, going back and forth. During the autumn harvest season, he would help others gather rice and carry corn, earning 50 cents per bag, hauling hundreds of bags each day. He bends slightly at the waist, his face flushed with effort as he heaves the sacks onto his shoulders. Sometimes, when the host family settles the payment and shorts him a few cents, Dad doesn't argue. He just silently takes the money. Back then I was still young, not understanding what it meant to compromise for peace. I only thought my father had such a gentle temper. My chores were many too, feeding the chickens, gathering firewood, shucking corn, washing vegetables and cooking, heating the stove and warming the bed, and doing laundry. Father's clothes were caked in mud, and when soaked with water, they became so heavy I could barely lift them. The river water in winter was piercingly cold, and I don't know how many chilblains sprouted on my hands. Mother goes out to play somewhere every day, and when she's feeling well, she knows how to come back on her own. That day, I searched all over the hills before finding her lying in a haystack, drooling. Her face was purple from the cold, yet somehow she had fallen asleep. I grabbed her hand and ran back home as fast as I could. Mom, can't you stop worrying me? I've been looking for you all afternoon. If you run away again, I'll have Dad lock you up. The sweet potatoes were still boiling in the pot at home, and I was so anxious that my voice grew loud. Mom got scared. Trembling, she pulled out a few wrinkled fruits and handed them to me. Here, my daughter likes to eat these. In an instant, my eyes welled up with tears. It was winter. There were no fruits to speak of, just a few shriveled, misshapen ones still clinging to the trees. From then on, I took my mother with me wherever I went. While I worked, she would watch from the side. Sometimes I'd show her how to do something, and though she'd try to follow, she'd do it clumsily, which made me happy. One day, as I was heading out, I ran into my birth parents. The birth mother sat on the bicycle, holding a tightly wrapped baby, while the birth father carried her. I shouted, "Dad, Mom!" They turned around, their faces betraying unconcealed panic. "Where did this brat come from? What are you yelling for?" I rushed forward and grabbed the bicycle, still clinging to the hope of catching a glimpse of them. "Did Mom and Dad come to take me back now that they have a brother?" My birth father pushed me to the ground in an instant. "You've got the wrong person." Just then, Dad returned from working outside. He had witnessed everything and already understood the situation. "Daughter, let's go home." I followed my father home, looking back every few steps. Later, I heard that my birth parents had a son, and the whole family was overjoyed, doting on him as if he might melt in their mouths or shatter in their hands. My eldest sister dropped out of school right after graduating from elementary school and went to work at a clothing factory in town. She wasn't even as tall as a stack of clothes, and all the money she earned was sent back to buy formula for her younger brother. The day I happened to run into them was because their son was sick, and they were taking him to town for an injection. Suddenly, I remembered that last winter when I had a fever of nearly 40 degrees, my birth mother couldn't even be bothered to pour me a glass of water and simply pushed me out into the snow, shivering so much I could barely walk, my eyelids too heavy to open. My faint sobs were swallowed by the wind and snow. Startled by the sudden cold of the snow, I screamed loudly, crying and begging for my birth mother. "Mom, I'm cold, Mom, I beg you, save me." She seemed not to hear, muttering to herself, "Nag, nag, nag, so annoying, it's just a fever, let it burn you to death, you're just a waste of money anyway, go outside for a while and the fever will go down." I smile bitterly. It's been obvious all along that I'm not loved. I just realized it too late. Father is eating a bowl of rice at lightning speed. After a day of manual labor, he's long been starving to the point of his stomach touching his back. Mother isn't completely foolish either. Seeing father finish his meal, she immediately takes the bowl to refill it. I pour the water I fetched from the well outside into the large vat, which stores enough water for our daily needs. I couldn't carry 2 buckets with a shoulder pole, so I had to carry them one by one to pour, making over 10 trips back and forth each time to fill it up. Dad called me over. "Come here, daughter, would you follow us from now on?" At that time, I didn't understand. I had already been living with my parents for so long. Why was Dad asking me this? It wasn't until I grew up that I realized my father gave me choices and enough respect. I thought about it and felt that my parents were good people. I nodded in naive understanding. "You won't go hungry." Father slurped another satisfied mouthful of rice. "You should start school too. You're 7 this year." I spoke with the village officials, and they said you'll need a proper name to enroll. "Think it over, daughter. Choose a name for yourself." Yes, back then I didn't have a proper name yet. I never thought my parents would let me go to school. Even my eldest sister only finished primary school. Girls my age in the village were all gathering pigweed and firewood. Only boys were considered worth sending to school. "Father, please choose a name." Father fell silent for a long time, gazing at the full moon in the sky. "How about Sophia?" he said, and so, I was given a name, Sophia, a new name, a new beginning. That same autumn, I started first grade. Having never attended preschool, I found the learning particularly challenging. I ran into my second sister at school, at first. She was afraid I'd cling to her, so she didn't even dare to greet me. Later, she noticed I couldn't be bothered with her, so she deliberately came up to me to annoy me. "Mom and Dad don't want you because you're just too stupid. She can't even do addition and subtraction within 10. Following that foolish mother has turned you into an idiot too." She spat at me and threw insects. I wasn't afraid of these things at all, just glared at her coldly. "Your parents are great. Your whole family is great. Let's see if your wonderful parents will just sell you off for bride price as soon as you graduate. You're just your brother's dog." She froze. I know second sister too well. I know exactly where to strike to hurt her the most. Since childhood, second sister has been sharper than me, eldest sister more steady. Only I was the dull one, the one they looked down on. Every day after school, I would pick up stones and sticks to write and draw on the ground, reviewing what the teacher had taught in my mind. Having no one to talk to, I would pull my mother over to watch. "Mom, look, these are heaven, earth, and person. These are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division." Mother giggled foolishly beside me, pointing at the character, and saying, "This is Sophia. It's Sophia." Yes, Mother didn't recognize anything, yet she knew my name. Before school each day, I would remind Mother, "When I leave, you mustn't wander off." Sweep the house clean. I've already chopped the vegetables for the chickens. After you eat breakfast, pour them into the pan. The rice has been washed. Cook it when Dad is about to come home, and I'll stir-fry the dishes when I return from school in the evening. Mom listened quietly, nodding and shaking her head from time to time. I didn't know if she understood, but Mom really never ran out randomly again. Something major happened at home. Mother is pregnant. Father was so overjoyed that, for the first time ever, he slaughtered a chicken and added a drumstick to both my and mother's bowls. Yet I felt vaguely uneasy, because I had long heard the neighbors talking about it. They teased me with laughter. Daughter, once your mother gives birth to a little brother, you'll be cast aside. Not necessarily. I heard madness can be inherited. What if they have a little fool? They might still count on the daughter to support him in old age. TSK. Can a daughter carry the funeral basin and wear mourning clothes when she's married into another family? Even a foolish son is better than a daughter. Look at your father, worn out like a skinny monkey every day. He can't afford to raise you burdens. Some bachelors even chimed in. Come with me, girl, I'll make sure you live in luxury. Terrified, I dashed straight home. Truth be told, I was more worried that the baby in Mom's belly would turn out as foolish as her. The grievances in my heart felt unbearable. Looking at the chicken leg in the bowl, I had no appetite at all, while Mother ate with greasy lips. Why aren't you eating? Father asked. Of course I didn't dare to eat it. Frightened and resentful, I ran into the house and brought out a stack of small bills. Dad, Mom, if you have a baby brother, can you promise not to send me away? I can drop out of school. I can earn money too. I heard from classmates that the wild jujubes from the back mountain were quite valuable. People in the city even used them for medicine. On weekends, I would carry a basket to gather wild jujubes. The jujube trees had thorns, and if you weren't careful while picking, you might get pricked and end up with a cut on your hand. After most of the day, I'd only manage to gather about half a basket. I'd carry it to the pharmacy in town to sell. They paid 20 cents per kilograms. And I'd save up a few dollars. Dad paused for a moment, as if he suddenly understood something. He spoke with deep sincerity. Sophia, don't listen to those nonsense talkers. Having a younger brother or sister won't make Mom and Dad abandon you. There's an order to seniority. You're the elder sister, the one who came to our family first. It's just like queuing for tickets. There's always a principle of first come, first served. Later on, I often used my father's words to educate my own children. Respect the order of seniority, not the superiority of men over women. You can never say you won't go to school again. Only the knowledge you absorb truly belongs to you. Mother also noticed the cut on my hand. She picked up my hand and gently blew on it. Our whole family laughed joyfully. Later I learned that Mother's illness wasn't congenital. She had fallen from a 3-meter-high scaffold while helping Father build houses for others. Hitting her head, the homeowner compensated them with 2,000 yuan. When Uncle arrived, he unleashed a torrent of anger at Father, scolding him for a full hour, yet never mentioned a word about treating Mother's condition. Father kept repeating just one sentence. It's my fault. I'll get her treated. Uncle took the 2,000 yuan compensation and forcibly led Mother away, her head still bleeding. Father was reluctant too, but thought since it was Mother's own brother, he surely wouldn't abandon her, but their conscience was truly eaten by dogs. Uncle indulged in debauchery, spending his days drinking, feasting, whoring, and gambling, while Aunt took a dislike to Mother, beating or scolding her at every turn. In the end, the compensation money was squandered, and Mother's illness remained untreated. 2 years later, they sent the mentally unstable Mother back. To this day, Dad still regrets that if he had been more firm back then, Mom wouldn't have ended up like this. After that, Dad wouldn't let me pick wild jujubes no matter what. I started forcing myself to go through my books over and over again, and if I didn't understand something the teacher taught, I'd ask right after class. From not being able to grasp basic arithmetic to ranking among the top in my class when I moved up a grade. The younger brother from my birth mother's family is already 1 year old. Somehow they heard that in the city it's fashionable to hold a 1-year-old ceremony, so they organized a grand first birthday celebration as magnificent as a crown prince's enthronement. My birth mother laid out brushes, ink, paper, inkstones, abacuses, seals, and other items. The whole family teased and coaxed, trying to stuff these objects into his hands. He was raised chubby, with a big head and a short body, not holding anything, yet fixated on the second sister's bowl of braised pork. The second sister spoiled him with everything, so she flattered him by bringing it forward. He grabbed and overturned it onto his lap, scalding several large blisters. The second sister was severely beaten by her biological parents. See, biased parents always protect their precious son. The bruises on my face hadn't fully faded when I ran into my second sister at school, and she would avoid me whenever she saw me. The town was small, and nothing could stay hidden for long. Everyone in the surrounding villages knew I was the child abandoned by my birth parents. Some would ask my birth mother, "Why did you insist on abandoning your daughter back then? Look how sensible she's turned out now." It came in handy at James's house, even taught her mother to recognize a few characters. The birth mother spat. "It wasn't me who abandoned her. That child was too ambitious, ran off on her own and never came back. Ah, just an ungrateful wretch. Saw someone better off and followed them, didn't she?" You see, selfish people never feel ashamed. They effortlessly shift the blame for their own misdeeds onto others. Days in the fields always pass by swiftly. In the blink of an eye, I was about to graduate from elementary school. Mother gave birth to a younger brother, but she didn't take good care of him. He was always getting bumps and bruises, or crying loudly from hunger. She wore only my old clothes that had been cut down and altered, the colorful pants looking particularly comical on her. When I went to school, Father would lock the house to prevent the two of them from running away. Every day after school, I could see his tiny figure peering through the door crack. He would cling to me sweetly, calling out, "Sister, sister is back." I held my little brother and taught him to count and recite poems, while Mom was busy cooking inside the house. Mom's spirits have improved a lot compared to before, and she can handle the daily household chores, but Dad still won't let her go out. She can't manage the gossip and small talk of the neighborhood. After entering middle school, time became increasingly tight. The homeroom teacher, Zoe, is a young man, teaching in rural schools. The 5-year term has ended. He always said to me earnestly, "Sophia, only through education can you leave this place." I know rural education is lacking, but I don't want to be trapped in this cage either. Step out, and the world lies before you. In the village, the world lies right before your eyes. I knew that if I failed to get into high school, even if my father favored me, my fate would likely be the same as my second sister's. I didn't want to live like that. My second sister never finished middle school. I heard she went south, where the wages are higher, working on assembly lines for over 10 hours a day. His birth mother arranged a marriage for him, with the other party offering a dowry of 100,000 yuan. But the bride was blind in one eye. She packed a few clothes and jumped out the window to escape overnight. But second sister was only 15 years old. I started studying desperately, compiling the questions I couldn't solve and taking them to Zoe. After class, my desk was stuffed with insects, and my books were scribbled beyond recognition, surrounded by mocking faces. Who does she think she is? Dreaming of getting into high school. My parents said it's fine if I don't pass the exam. I can just work and earn 1,000 a month. Ha ha ha. Her dad probably doesn't even make 1,000 in a year. Isn't it ridiculous? Mice never think what they have is stolen, and flies never consider themselves dirty. In the world of crows, the swan is inherently at fault. Lucas, my younger brother, is already in elementary school, 1 grade below the son from his biological mother's side. He finishes school early and waits for me at the school gate every day so we can walk home together. I often see him from afar, lying on the stone steps doing his homework, occasionally counting on his fingers when he can't figure out the numbers. I call him, and he runs towards me swiftly, like a cheerful little monkey. For several days in a row, Lucas kept making excuses not to wait for me to come home, and I vaguely sensed something was wrong. During the last self-study class, I quietly slipped out of the school gate, seeing Lucas surrounded by a group of boys. They tore at Lucas's clothes, forced him to bark like a dog, and even pulled down their pants to urinate on him. Finally, they ordered Lucas to stand against the wall as a human target, throwing darts bought from the school store for 20 cents each at him. Where on the wall could the darts even stick? The darts pierced his flesh one after another. Philip, the child of my birth mother, clapped and cheered nearby. Lucas was born weaker than other children, and with his mother's inadequate care, he appeared significantly shorter than his peers, dark and thin. He now felt utterly helpless and desperate. They aimed their darts at his eyes. My heart was pounding in my throat. I grabbed a wrist-thick stick and charged over with menacing force. The stick struck them, and the kids let out earth-shattering howls. I'm telling my mom, you're just a lunatic. I grabbed the little treasure of my birth mother's family by the collar and swung left and right, slapping him across the face again and again. dare to make me tear your mouth apart, and the rest of you, if you dare lay a finger on Lucas from now on, I'll beat you every time I see you." Aunt Lucy's son tried to run, but I stuck out my foot and tripped him face first into the dirt. I promptly sat on him and pinned his hands down. "Lucas, stab him with the dart." Lucas mustered all his strength and drove the dart straight into the back of his hand. When the birth mother arrived, chaos ensued. She saw her son had been beaten and rushed at me furiously, clawing. "Sophia, don't think just because you bear the name James you can forget whose womb you crawled out of. Even if your bones are broken, you'll still be my daughter." I've never seen someone so quick to betray their own. How could you lay a hand on your own brother? I don't know where I found the strength, but I wrestled with her, grabbing a brick to smash her head. "Say it again, and he's not my brother. If you keep shouting, I'll kill you too." "Yes, I'm just like my mother, a complete lunatic. When I go crazy, beating you to death wouldn't even be a crime." Perhaps the last sentence scared her off. As my birth mother let go and slunk away with her son in tow, the remaining children scattered in an instant. A cold wind blew, and only then did I realize my back was drenched in sweat. Lucas suddenly burst into tears at this moment. I held his hand and walked home. "Lucas, remember, if anyone bullies you again, fight back, sis. Your neck is bleeding." My neck was scratched by my biological mother, and blood gushed out. Ignoring the wound, I continued questioning Lucas. "Did you remember? Only when you become strong yourself will others stop bullying you, and only then can you protect those you love." Lucas nodded heavily. Lucas and I tacitly agreed not to tell our parents about this matter. Father is already working hard enough. I can't burden him with more worries. Father stopped plowing fields for others long ago. In recent years, more and more people have been going out to work, and there isn't as much land to cultivate as before. Dad found a job at a factory loading stones, hauling large rocks from the quarry onto a tractor and then dumping them into a crusher. Every day, he must have loaded thousands of pounds without fail. The happiest day for Dad was payday when he would hand me his work log. "Sophia, help Dad with the accounts." Dad's handwriting was crooked and uneven, the thin paper soaked with sweat and dried again. My heart ached as I looked at the densely packed words. "After I made a scene last time, the foreman doesn't shortchange us anymore. How dare you pay Daddy less?" I calculated it. "It should be 523 yuan. Give us the 3 yuan, otherwise, I'll stand at your door and shout every day. Let's see who dares to work for you then." Dad didn't speak, but I saw the moisture in his eyes. On the way back, Dad used those $3 to buy 3 lollipops and a few sausages. Sophia knows how to stand up for Dad now. In the blink of an eye, it was the 3rd year of junior high. Zoe found several sets of practice tests. I got these high school entrance exam practice tests from the county. Everyone can take a copy to work on. We won't waste class time. Unfortunately, very few people came to him to collect them. "Sophia, show me your answers when you're done. I'll go over any mistakes with you again." I spent almost every after-school hour lingering in the homeroom teacher's office. My birth mother shamelessly spread bad rumors about me everywhere. Do I not know what my daughter is capable of? A barnyard hen dreaming of becoming a phoenix. What a pipe dream. I heard she's always sticking close to that homeroom teacher, probably in a relationship. TSK, just a cheap slut, destined to throw herself at men. One day she'll end up with a swollen belly. These words reached Zoe's ears. "I feel very sorry, Sophia. This is why I won't stay in the village to teach." "It's okay, the truth will out. Don't think about anything else. Just focus on preparing for the exam." I feel like time is water in a sponge, squeezed out bit by bit. The high school entrance exam wasn't that important for other students, but for me, it was the first major crossroads in life, exceptionally significant. On the day of the exam, cicadas outside the window chirped tirelessly. I wrote furiously, and the rustling sound of my pen gliding across the exam paper felt particularly pleasant to me. Then came the long wait. I locked myself in the room, unable to do anything anymore. The aunties in the village were all gossiping. "Sophia probably failed the exam. Look, she hasn't even stepped out the door." My birth mother also scoffed. "Pfft, if she could pass, pigs could climb trees." Zoe's call reached the village grocery store. The shop owner hurried over to call me. "Sophia, you got into No. 1 high school." "Teacher, did I really get in?" The homeroom teacher's voice mixed with crackling static over the phone line. "Sophia, you got in. Our school had 3 students admitted in total. You ranked first among them, placing 78th in the entire county. I never expected to rank in the county standings, especially considering how much better the teaching quality is in county schools compared to ours. Sophia, come to school on Monday to collect your notice. Sophia, is Sophia here? Got it, teacher. I answered the teacher and then ran quickly to my dad's gravel factory, losing my flip-flops several times along the way. My face felt wet, and as I wiped it with my hands, I couldn't tell if it was sweat or tears. Dad was loading stones onto the tractor. I shouted at him, Dad, I got into one high school. Father put down the shovel, as if he had expected it all along, and wiped his sweat. Sophia, am just amazing. Father happily handed out cigarettes to the workers around him. Let's call it a day early today. My daughter got accepted. I got on my father's bicycle, and the workers' words drifted into my ears. James's daughter will leave him behind once she makes something of herself. I say, what's the point of girls studying? They might as well get married early. Leo, seems like you're just scheming for your own son. The crowd burst into laughter. Dad's body stiffened for a moment, not turning his head, pedaling the bicycle forward with all his strength. I didn't understand. They still held the cigarettes Dad had just handed out, yet spoke the most hurtful words from their mouths. My heart ached sourly and bitterly, as if I were talking to myself. Dad, I won't abandon you. Dad, I still want to take you and Mom to see the big city. Dad nodded vigorously. The mountain path, tinted by the setting sun, was hard to walk. Our shadows stretched very long. I've walked this path many times since then. Seasons changed, stars shifted across the sky, yet this precarious sunset yellow remains the brightest dawn of my life. To attend the county's top high school. I didn't even have decent clothes, let alone tuition and travel expenses. The miscellaneous expenses add up to over $1,600. Father never spoke of his worries, but the constant smoking of his dry tobacco pouch had turned his hair white. My birth mother's family, upon hearing the news, had long since shut their doors and retreated to her parents' home, afraid we might come to borrow money. As for my uncle's family, with whom we had long severed ties, there was no way to even broach the subject. The neighbors nearby could only lend me $10 or $8 at most. The light bulb at home burned out, and it's been a while without replacement. Lucas is growing fast, and it's time to get him new clothes. He can't keep wearing my hand-me-downs anymore. People say they're so poor they'd sell the pots and pans, but in my case, with bare walls all around, even that phrase sounds laughable. Mother sat on the doorstep, pointing at the pig that had been raised in the pen for half a year, and said to Father, sell the pig, we won't eat meat, let Sophia go to school. Finally, Dad managed to barely scrape together the tuition by taking a 6-month advance on his wages from the factory and selling the half-grown pig. Dad placed the stack of money in my hand. Sophia, focus on your studies, don't worry about anything else. How could I not feel the weight of it? Packing my bags with all our family's possessions, I could only steel my resolve over and over in my heart. Work hard, work even harder. Only then can I be worthy of my parents' sacrifices. On registration day, Dad took me to town, and I boarded the bus to the county seat alone. Sophia, take good care of yourself now that you're going alone, eat more. Don't worry about home, I'll come see you when I have time. Father had never spoken so many words before. He pulled out 2 more sausages and stuffed them into my hand. Take it for the road, even Lucas doesn't have any. The car started, kicking up dust that swallowed Dad whole. I stared at the barren land and Dad's increasingly blurred figure, my tears falling heavily to the ground. High school studies proved even more exhausting than I'd imagined. Poverty, inferiority, and pressure leave me gasping for breath. Some can rank top in their grade without even attending classes. Some have already mastered the knowledge meant for the second year of high school. Others have been preparing for specialized early admissions since their first year of high school. They are exceptionally fortunate, yet my consciousness remains stuck in middle school, only learning from textbooks. Everyone went home for the weekend. But I hid in the bathroom when the dorm supervisor came to check the rooms. Sneaking back to the dorm after the inspection, the power and water were cut off at night, so I did my exercises page by page under the flashlight. The stray cats outside the window wailed eerily. The winter was bone-chilling, so I wrapped myself in a quilt to keep warm. 2 big steamed buns I bought, eaten with water, were my meals for 2 days. Lily's mom from the same dorm saw me eating cold steamed buns a few times when she came to drop her off on weekends. The next time she came, she brought a big bag of milk and bread. Auntie was considerate of my sensitive self-esteem. There's too much at home, help Lily eat some. Having enough to eat makes the weekends less unbearable. during the final exams, my grades hit an all-time low, ranked 195th in my grade. Keep in mind, there are only about 500 students in the entire grade. The number of students admitted to undergraduate programs each year is only about 100. My ranking dropped by over 100 places compared to the entrance exam. I began to doubt myself. I'm just an ordinary grain of sand in the desert. How could I ever hope to become gold? Not even comparable to most people. How can I stand out? Just give up. Going with the flow isn't so bad. Every time Dad visits and asks about my grades, I feel too guilty to answer. Not bad, not bad. I can keep up. The stone quarry where Dad worked went bankrupt. Illegal stone mining was against the law, and the government had begun tightening regulations in this area. Dad found work picking fruit in an orchard, pushing a cart to sell it in town every day, barely making enough to get by. Dad took me to a shop and ordered a bowl of noodles. He pulled out a few cold, stiff buns. Your mother made these buns for me. Mom knows how to steam buns now. I was both surprised and delighted. Let me try some too. Dad kept dodging, so I grabbed it and took a bite. The bowl was full of cabbage, without a trace of meat. I took the bowl and scooped out half a portion of noodles. Dad, you should have some noodles too. I eat them often at school. I just want to taste home-cooked meals. Father's white hair keeps growing. The camouflage shoes on his feet were bought when I was in middle school. The money he earns from selling fruits each day takes half a month to save up for my living expenses. If I continue to muddle through life like this, my future will be utterly predictable. Even if I find a decent husband's family and receive a passable dowry, to serve my husband and raise children, going with the flow. Is this how I repay my parents after more than 10 years of schooling? In over a year of high school, I had never felt as clear-headed as at that moment. I couldn't go on like this anymore. In the second year of high school, we faced the choice of subject streams and class divisions. At that time, the country's development was changing rapidly, and there was a shortage of research talent. The school had already begun prioritizing science over humanities, and I hesitated for a long time. In reality, most of the points I lost were in science subjects. If I gave up on science, my grades would improve further, but everyone says that science majors have better job prospects and earn more money. At that time, our homeroom teacher was a chemistry teacher who practically wanted to advise all of us to choose science. Only fools choose liberal arts. They'll have no future. The scales in my heart kept wavering. My middle school homeroom teacher Zoe managed to contact me through someone and sent over some books and stationery. Through the iron railings, I saw him from afar. Sophia, I've been transferred to the county's experimental middle school and have been working there for a month now. That's wonderful. Congratulations, Zoe. Zoe looks full of vigor, completely different from when she was in the village. Indeed, joy puts heart into a person. I confided my inner struggles to him. Sophia, first, you need to choose a field you're comfortable with. Don't think about future employment or how much money you can make later. You're still struggling in the water. First, get ashore to save your life. Zoe's words were like a sudden revelation that brought clarity. Yes, my goal is to get into university first. If I only consider the broader environment while ignoring my own circumstances, it would be a case of gaining little at great cost. Then he added, but if you're choosing the humanities just to make things easier for yourself, I advise you to abandon that idea. Studying the humanities is nothing to be ashamed of, nor is it as easy as some people claim. Learning is never an easy task. Once the taut string snaps, the spirit deflates. Making the decision actually brought more relief. I began to let go of some science subjects, devoting most of my time to memorization and practice questions. At 5 in the morning in the boiling water room, I'd fill a large cup with hot water, warming my hands while reciting from memory. At 6:30, when others arrived in the classroom, I had already finished a set of practice questions, under the covers. The flashlight's beam stayed on until the early hours of the morning. My pockets were always filled with vocabulary flashcards. By the final exams of my second year of high school, I finally climbed to 85th place in my grade. I improved by nearly 100 places in the rankings. During summer vacation when I returned home, my dad asked about my grades. I could finally answer loudly and proudly. When my biological father found out, he remained calm and composed. As expected of our Leo family's daughter, the genes are just superior. She can't argue with that. If our third daughter can get into university, then our little treasure is definitely going to Tsinghua or Peking University. Others teased him. The third daughter won't acknowledge you. You never took care of her for a single day. How can she not acknowledge me? What child doesn't acknowledge their own father? Pa, I'd sooner acknowledge your grandmother's leg. Before summer vacation, I collected a large batch of study materials from graduating senior high school students. Dad loaded a full tricycle, and I pushed it from behind to bring it home. Dad, is it heavy? Not heavy, much lighter than a full load of apples, Dad answered casually, long accustomed to this weight. Every day, a full load of apples was several times heavier than this. Life's hardships are far more bitter than the struggles of studying. During summer vacation, children around my age were all doing farm work, plowing fields, cutting grass, harvesting wheat. Father never made me do any chores. Now he always takes mother and my younger brother with him. Mother has grown increasingly capable, even able to work in the fields. People on the road laugh at them. James's daughter really has it easy, doesn't have to do any work. Yet she makes her own son work like a donkey. Lucas snaps back at them. My sister has important work to do, and besides, I'm stronger than her. I was utterly ashamed and could only study day and night. There was no electric fan at home, and the sweltering summer heat brought not a single breeze. Soon, I was drenched in sweat. I would fetch a ladle of water from the well, pour it over my head, and continue studying. Before I knew it, it was the second semester of my senior year of high school. My ranking had consistently hovered around 50th in the grade, and no matter how hard I tried, breaking through that barrier seemed nearly impossible. At this point, there were only 123 days left until the college entrance exams. With the decisive battle approaching, everyone was showcasing their unique strengths like the 8 immortals crossing the sea. Some have started hiring private tutors for one-on-one tutoring. Some have already secured early admission. Some are researching specialized enrollment through educational institutions. Every afternoon, there are students taking leave to practice their special talents. I gazed at the empty seat, feeling an indescribable emotion in my heart. Lily also chose the liberal arts track and was in the same class as me. She had already decided to pursue dance as her specialty. In addition to her weekly dance classes, her mother had also hired a tutor for her. It's said to be $100 an hour. Lily complained to me, "You know how annoying that teacher is. He talks so slowly. Even a dog would fall asleep listening to this stuff. Only my mom, that sucker, believes in him, saying he's taught graduating classes for 15 years. Turning to see the envious look in my eyes, Sophia, that's not what I meant. It's okay, Lily, you've got this. It really doesn't matter. I admire Lily, but I've never been jealous of her. I hope she'll always be mommy's little princess." When Lily came again, she tossed me a voice recorder. "Here, I recorded everything the old man said. You can listen to it repeatedly. At a time when everyone fears you might learn too much, people as generous as Lily are rare." I was so excited I didn't know what to do. Words of gratitude felt utterly inadequate. All right, enough with the sentimentality. I can't take it. This thing wasn't cheap. You know, you owe me a meal. I listened to the recording over and over. Honestly, the teacher explained everything so well. Even the most obscure and difficult concepts became crystal clear. I compiled all the things I didn't understand, and Lily took them to the private tutor for explanation over the weekend. I relied on this voice recorder to repeatedly listen to the difficult and hard-to-grasp content. Bit by bit, I mastered, pondered, digested, and absorbed it. I was like wheat seedlings in the field, growing vigorously upward after each rainfall. The college entrance examination arrived as scheduled. After the exams, everyone let loose with joy. I heaved a long sigh of relief. Goodbye to my high school life. My name still hung on the honor roll in the hallway. The climbing rock at the school gate still stands tall, having bid farewell to countless students. At some point, swallows made a nest by the classroom door. I never noticed these things, always rushing forward in haste. The day the results came out happened to coincide with our village's temple fair. Every household set up tables in their courtyards and placed statues of deities on them. Dad took me to the village chief's house to check my grades. The system was busy, and the webpage kept spinning but wouldn't load. The men drinking and playing cards outside also quieted down. My heart was in my throat. Chinese 128, Math 120, English 125, Liberal Arts Comprehensive 222, total score 595. That year, the first-year cutoff score for liberal arts was 536. Father trembled as he heavily patted my shoulders with both hands. The village chief unusually invited Father to stay for dinner. Father was not good at socializing and struggled in such situations, yet when he walked out the door, his back seemed much straighter. I applied to a 985 university in my home province and, considering the advice from both Zoe and Lily's mom, I chose to major in law. In this remote and impoverished land teeming with wolves and tigers, people neither understand nor accept the law, yet they still hold it in awe. When my birth mother heard the news, she and my birth father came to our house with a chicken. I always knew Sophia would get in, she said. Don't forget to help your brother out when you make something of yourself someday. Sophia's birthday is coming up, so I killed a chicken to nourish you. I don't know how she could shamelessly say such things. You must be mistaken. My birthday isn't on the 6th day of the 5th lunar month. You're the one I gave birth to. How could I possibly remember wrong? You're wrong. My birthday is the 9th day of the 10th month. My birth mother still wore a hint of an awkward smile. Of course she remembered. On that 9th day of the 10th month, I nearly froze to death on the mountain. For some reason, mother picked up a stone and hurled it at my birth mother, who couldn't dodge in time and got hit on the forehead. The biological father started cursing and grumbling. You crazy bitch. I'll kill you. Mother seemed triggered, her eyes bloodshot, like a mother hen protecting her chicks, wildly swinging a shovel. Lucas returned at that moment and stood in front of mother. Take your things and get out. If you ever come to my house again, I'll break your legs. He grabbed his biological father and landed solid punch after punch on his stomach. The scrawny little monkey I used to protect has now grown into a man. His biological parents fled in panic, still hurling insults as they left. Sophia, you ungrateful wretch, you'll get what's coming to you. I combed mother's hair and comforted her like a child. Don't worry, mother, I won't go anywhere. Sophia is your daughter. One day, I'll take you to see a doctor, ride a train, and visit those tall buildings. Mother gradually calmed down and then smiled. At the dinner table, Lucas announced he wanted to drop out of school. He was almost done with middle school, and his grades weren't great. Our parents felt that since he wasn't cut out for studying, there was no point wasting the money. With my college tuition already stretching our finances thin, he wanted to do something to help. I firmly refused. Now there are student loans available from the government. I'll ask Zoe about the application policies later. Besides, I can always take on part-time jobs in college, so don't worry about my living expenses. Lucas is only in his 2nd year of middle school. Let him finish junior high first, and if necessary, he can learn some technical skills later. The day the admission letter arrived, I was helping Dad thresh wheat, with a scarf tied around my head and chaff flying everywhere. The postman shouted 3 times, "Who is Sophia?" I took the letter and saw his look of disbelief as he gave me a thumbs up in admiration. He took out his camera and took a photo of me. Good job, young lady. This photo later appeared in our local newspaper. It turned out that the uncle was the post office director. Afterwards, the university president contacted me, saying the school could help apply for a student loan. The school will also provide a portion of living allowance to ensure smooth enrollment. This is undoubtedly the best news for us. When I left home, my mother saved up cotton from half an acre of land to make me a thick new quilt, with long and short stitches resembling a centipede. This is my most valuable possession. Once again, I set foot on the path of learning, and with this departure, my hometown grows ever more distant. My family saw me off again and again. Father was reticent. Mother's words fell short. They lifted me up with their silent love. Carrying their love, I journey toward vast skies and boundless seas. Time, please slow down a little. Let me grow up before my parents gradually age. I still want to be their wings, their eyes, their support. University days are incredibly busy, on campus. I'm busy rushing between classrooms, off campus. I'm busy with multiple part-time jobs. I can finally eat my fill, stand tall, and not ask my family for money anymore. There are plenty of opportunities in the city, fast food restaurants, supermarkets, store openings. Working a few hours is always enough to fill my stomach. During that time, there were also boys who showed interest in me. I turned them down. I'm too busy to date, and too poor, with nothing to offer but a young body. I don't want to be like this. Gradually, everyone knows that compared to love, I prefer making money. Lily got accepted into her dream university in City A. Sometimes we would call each other. I'd let it ring 3 times, and she would always hang up and call back. You're so poor. I'm saving you some phone bills. Sophia, if it weren't for your influence in high school, I might not have made it here. Her words are always flawlessly pleasant to hear. Truly abundant people shine without being dazzling, confident yet knowing restraint. When they emit their own light, they never blow out others' lamps. Lily, I still owe you a meal. Sure, treat me to something nice when you start making money. Lucas went to a vocational school after graduating from junior high and chose auto repair. The three most popular professions for poor families are auto repair, hairdressing, and cooking. Lucas didn't have a talent for academics. But he was quick-witted and nimble-fingered, so learning a trade could be a reliable skill for his future. At that time, four-wheeled cars were not yet common, and people scoffed at them. With so few people driving cars these days, learning to repair them would just lead to starvation. I think James's family just has money to burn. After raising one college graduate, they don't even know their own worth anymore. If you don't have the ambition, don't waste money. A grown man not thinking about earning money to marry a wife but still wanting to mooch off his parents. Lucas was also furious and called me to vent. Sis, maybe I should drop out of school. You can't drop out. Listen to me. If the tuition isn't enough, I'll help cover it. The orchard owner, who buys Dad's fruit, bought another plot of land and entrusted this old orchard to Dad to manage. Now, Dad no longer has to spend his days running around selling fruit. With the money I saved from part-time jobs, I installed a landline phone at home. At that time, mobile phones were already widespread, but Dad found them inconvenient to carry, and there was only signal on the hilltops, which wasn't very practical. I was about to graduate from university and was struggling with the choice between taking the civil service exam or pursuing postgraduate studies. A senior who was 1 year ahead of me, later my boyfriend Simon, found out and rationally helped me analyze the situation. If you want to change your fate and secure an iron rice bowl, take the civil service exam. The competition for law majors is relatively less intense. If you want to earn more money, pursue postgraduate studies. It will give you a significant advantage when entering top-tier law firms. After much contemplation, I began preparing for the postgraduate entrance exam. I understood his intentions, but had no way to repay him. I found a clerical job at a law firm, started attending court cases, and began preparing for the bar exam. Lucas was assigned to an auto repair shop after graduation. He would spend entire days lying under cars, emerging looking like he'd fallen into a coal mine, but he was willing to endure hardship and never took on private jobs. Both customers and supervisors praised him repeatedly. After graduating with my master's degree, I received an offer from a prestigious law firm. One morning, the office door was pushed open, and I saw the familiar face of my birth mother. She had aged significantly, somehow managing to track me down, standing awkwardly in front of the bright office. Sophia, please help your brother. He's addicted to online games all day. And I'm at my wit's end. Don't blame Mom for being heartless. I had no choice back then. Office colleague Sisterly couldn't stand it anymore. Madam, you were the one who abandoned Sophia back then. Now you have the nerve to come looking for her. Aren't you ashamed at your age? Do you know this counts as the crime of abandonment? It's already generous of Sophia not to sue you. The cases she handles now start at 4-digit fees. The birth mother's face turned red and white with shame. I really wanted to give Sisterly a thumbs up. 3 sentences were enough to dismiss her for me. Of course, I wouldn't sue them. Dealing with this kind of person is just like what Sisterly said. Make them feel guilty forever, forever regretful, always on edge, never dare to cause trouble for parents. This is far more agonizing than filing a lawsuit. During the new year, Lucas actually managed to drive back in a second-hand car. Everyone was extremely envious, apart from delivery trucks. No four-wheeled vehicle has ever been seen driving into the village. Lucas has really made it big. Can you take me for a ride? Does riding in this car make you dizzy? Does it feel like riding a train when it moves? Lucas took his parents to the town market to shop for New Year's supplies. We bought carp, pork, candies, roasted chicken, and pork knuckles. We got a new set of clothes for Mom and Dad. We also bought couplets and 2 big red lanterns. Dad kept the window open, chatting with every passerby. I sat in the back seat, never having seen Dad and Mom so proud before. Lucas, did you get this car legally? Sis, you're really letting your professional habits show. Do you think I stole it? This belonged to one of my clients. They got a new car, and I bought the old one from the repair shop. The New Year's Eve dinner was exceptionally lively. On the evening of the 30th, when fireworks were being set off, Simon called, Sophia, Happy New Year. Same to you. Happy New Year. I was waving a sparkler with great enthusiasm. Sophia, be my girlfriend. You're truly wonderful, and I want to protect you from now on. I've contacted the hospital about Auntie's illness. We'll go to a city after the new year. I've booked the tickets. Bring Uncle along too. I covered my mouth, trying hard not to let my sobs be heard. He understood everything all along. In a relationship, what truly sustains it is always the lowest point. I never hid my background. But few have accepted it as openly as he did. It's fine if you refuse. We can just be friends. I accept. The first crackling fireworks of the new year, I heard his cheers. After the new year, I took my parents to a city, where a renowned specialist examined them and repeatedly marveled that surviving for so long was nothing short of a medical miracle. Back then, the bruise on Mother's head from the impact had already turned into a blood clot, which was pressing on her nerves. If the clot had spread and blocked a blood vessel, it would have been fatal. The doctor prescribed some medicine and advised to monitor the condition later. Dad wants to renovate the house at home. Back then, I hit Aunt Lucy's son, and they held a grudge against me. During my senior year of high school, when the Liu family rebuilt their house, they encroached on half an acre of our family's homestead land behind our house. Dad couldn't stand it and argued with them, but ended up getting beaten by Leo. I only found out about all this later. I took out all the savings I'd accumulated over the years, a full 150,000 yuan. Dad, let's build it. Let's build a 2-story house. Aunt Lucy made a scene at the village committee, complaining that it blocked the sunlight to her house. The village party secretary let her rant for a long time before leisurely saying, "Sister-in-law, that's enough. Back when you occupied James's homestead land, we didn't report you. Consider yourself lucky. In my first year after starting work, I funded the repair of that muddy dirt road in the village. Even the village cadres would give my father some deference when they encountered him. Bullying others with power is indeed bad, but sometimes it feels really good. Tear down the earthen houses, contract everything out. I watch as my own youth is gradually demolished. Pain, humiliation, harm, and suffering are all buried, but that love remains forever." The brand new Western-style house was quickly built. Dad goes to the orchard every day, spraying for bugs and bagging the fruit. Everyone tells him to stop working, but he just can't stay idle. Mother was the kindest old lady in the village. When the aunties and grannies sat around gossiping about this and that, she never chimed in, because she simply didn't understand what they were talking about. Only a group of children would gather around her, sharing the candies from her pocket. Lucas rented a repair shop, determined to go solo and fully devoted to his career, with no intention of finding a partner at all. The day I officially brought Simon home, he quietly prepared an electric tricycle for Dad. Father was completely won over by him. Mom and Dad started becoming nagging, often spending an entire hour on the phone complaining to me. In the past, I wished time would slow down, so I could grow up and repay their kindness. Now I'm even greedier, wishing time would slow down further, so I can accompany them to 100 years of age. My beloved ones, I hope you are all doing well. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.